So
Yeah.
earlier this week, I saw on one of your shows you were talking about how you're believing that Christian McCaffrey is going to be
Yes.
the offensive player of the year in 2023.
Yes.
I think you're on to something because
Yeah.
he is a star. What do you think that Shanahan's going to do with him this year, and what is it that makes him so special?
Well, here's the thing is I think people forget that he was a midseason acquisition because he was just so
Yeah.
dominant and just did so many things. And, the Niners have so many, positionless players on offense. When you look at people like Kittle or Debo or even Juszczyk, but McCaffrey really is the true Swiss Army knife of this Niners offense. I mean, like, what can't he do? He's a top producing running back. I think he's one of the best pass catching backs in the NFL. Then we saw him throw a touchdown pass last year. We saw him block, which of course I don't want to see that anymore, Shanahan. But
Yeah.
he's just a toy. I feel like he's a toy soldier that Shanahan could just put anywhere, wind him up, and then just see him go. 13 years, or excuse me, 13 games, not years. And we hope to have him for 13 years. So that's probably a little bit too long. 13 games. McCaffrey had 111 scrimmage yards per game, 73 rushing, 39 receiving. He scored a combined 13 touchdowns on 20 touches per game, 8 of those rushing included in the postseason. Like, the guy is just, he can do anything. And I know that a lot of people are worried about his health because of things that happened in Carolina. But the
Right.
one, I'm not worried about him being run into the ground necessarily, just because Shanahan has always employed a run game kind of by committee. It's one of the best offensive systems for running backs, I think, in the entire league. So I think we're going to see a lot more of Christian McCaffrey doing crazy things. But the good news is we do have other backs that will kind of help share that load for him. So I'm not necessarily worried about injury for him. I just think he's going to have a monster year. And by the way, he's the favorite right now for Offensive Player of the Year at plus 1,100.
Wow.
Take that bet right now, because I'm telling you, there is nothing that this guy can't do or won't do.
Wow. Wow, that's great. Great insight. I think that we're going to see more of Jordan Mason in
Yeah.
2023. I think
Yeah.
that you saw how Kyle Shanahan wanted to use Elijah Mitchell to give McCaffrey a breather, to save him a little bit. And when Mitchell was in there, he was great. He had over
Yeah.
6 yards per carry, but he can't stay healthy. And so
Yeah.
I was hoping last year that Kyle would go to Jordan Mason more, but he's got that thing with rookies where he just sometimes doesn't seem to trust them. I think he trusts Mitchell because Mitchell still has not fumbled the ball even once in his NFL career. But with Jordan Mason, I think that he's going to trust him more this year. And if Mitchell is unhealthy, and look, back in June in the mandatory minicamp, Mitchell was on the side working. So it's like he was already hurt. So I love Elijah Mitchell, but I just think that Jordan Mason may be the guy this year to be that number 2 back. How do you feel about Jordan?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Elijah Mitchell could be a RB1 in several different teams in the NFL right now. He's really, really that good. But to your point, I have more injury concerns with Mitchell even than I do with Christian McCaffrey. And, you hit on it right there, Mark. Mason and Mitchell got about the same amount of touches last season. They both average about 6 yards per carry. So I'm curious to see if Jordan does get more usage, but I actually think that he will, so that we can keep Mitchell healthy, so that later in the season, because we know our running backs drop like flies. There's a reason why that room is so robust, that let's use Jordan up front. Let's trust him a little bit more, so that maybe later in the season we have someone like Mitchell who Shanahan trusts. And I think, the fan base really trusts to step in should anything happen to Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah. And with McCaffrey, the thing that I like the most is that he's a mismatch. Kyle used him last year the same way that Bill Walsh used Roger Craig, and the way that his dad, Mike Shanahan, used Ricky Watters. You can line him up all over the place. Here's the thing. McCaffrey is a first down machine, and last season the 49ers ranked 13th in third down conversion rate. With McCaffrey, they ranked 5th. And that's huge when he can keep drives alive by being that outlet for a quarterback like Brock Purdy.